Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make ambient music like Aphex one. You can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that kind of stuff in this video in the description for free. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because you can download it without a download gate. Yeah, let's get started. So, this loop here in the intro, the first thing we have here are these chords which sound like this. So here's the MIDI. These are actually pretty simple chords. Basically, they're all just major or minor triads. Like, for example, here we have G sharp major. Second one is C minor. You know, it's pretty simple stuff. I have a few extra notes put in here. You can see I tried to kind of play those off in the chords. Like this one here goes like that, and then over here, this one has a note that lines up there. So, you know, just stuff like that. For the sound on this one, I made it using operator. What we have here is this FM pad. You can see I've got 4 sine waves here. I've got them at different octaves. You can see like I got the second one up. I've also got that detuned a little to give it some movement. I have all of those going into a low pass. So I'll show you what this sounds like with nothing on it in terms of effects. So yeah, and then I have that going into this low pass here. You can see the low pass is set like that. You can see also that I have an LFO on the low pass. So that's just kind of slowly moving it. You know, it helps with making it more like ambient and smooth and just kind of like more free sounding as opposed to just like, you know, staying in one place the whole time. After that, I have this phaser, and I'm actually using this to just give this a bit of like an interesting sound. I'll show you. Here's without it. And then with it, so it's very subtle, but it just adds a little bit more of an interesting texture to the synth, and helps to make it not just sound like a dry sine wave pad in operator. After that, we had this echo and this reverb, and these are what is making this sound ambient. You can see the echo, I've got pretty high feedback, pretty high dry wet, and then I've also got a ton of decay time and a ton of dry wet on the reverb as well. And yeah, if you want to get that really like just huge ambient pad sound like this is the key, is you have to stack the echo with the reverb, because what's happening is basically the echo is creating all these repeats. Like the reverb is creating, you know, kind of like the quote unquote sonic blurring, but the echo is creating a lot of repeats, as you can hear. And so then not only are you getting the reverb of the original sound, but you're also getting all those repeats reverbing. And it just becomes this big wash of ambient sound. And yeah, that is it for the chords. Pretty simple stuff. The next thing we have here is this first drone, which sounds like this. So what this is doing is it's just playing one note. It's just playing a C. It's just kind of ringing out, you know, over the chords. You can hear I have 2 drones here, and if I turn these off, it's not as interesting. Like these add a lot to like how the piece feels. So for the sound on this one, I made this one using analog, and what we have with this one is 2 saw waves. You can see I've got the second one up an octave, and then those are going into a bandpass filter, and then the bandpass, I have an LFO on that, very similar to what I had on the chords, where I just had a little LFO on the filter, kind of moving it. After that, I have this vibrato just to give it a bit more kind of warble, and that is it for the sound of analog. After that, we have a bit of chorus. Here's without it. And then with it, so you can hear this is mostly just widening the sound a bit and helping to make it have more dimension and just kind of like, yeah, splitting it out a bit. And making it not just like a simple sound that's just, you know, right in the middle. After that, we have a bit of reverb. This is pretty self-explanatory again with the ambient sounds. Reverb is a must. Yeah, just have a huge decay time, pretty high dry wet as well. And then I have that going into a saturator. And so the saturator is just fattening it up a bit. You can hear it's obviously giving it a bit of a volume boost, but it's also, like I said, just fattening the sound up a bit and making it a bit stronger sounding in the mix. That is it for the first drone. The next sound that we have here is the second drone, which sounds like this. So this one is playing G. I like to have two different drones kind of playing multiple notes. You can hear, like, I'll play the whole track with no drone, and then one drone. And then when I add that second one, it really brings the track to life. So with this one, what we have here is just a saw wave going into a low pass filter. The low pass has a bit of an LFO on it. Again, you want to have this constant movement, and having these three elements, moving throughout the track at very different times really adds a lot of life to the song. Like, this is what makes it feel more alive than just like, when you play a sine wave into some reverb. After that, we just have a bit of vibrato and a bit of unison as well inside of the synth, just kind of giving it more of a chorusy texture. I went to do this a little bit differently than how I did it on the other drone. Like, on that one, I just gave it a chorus, but with this one, I used the unison and the vibrato. After that, we have the reverb. Pretty self-explanatory, once again. And then we have this overdrive, and so this is doing a pretty light amount of distortion. Here's without it. And then with it, so you can hear what's happening here is it's just kind of like crunching this whole thing together a bit. And it helps to make it stand out. You don't want a whole lot of distortion, but something like this, especially after the reverb, so you get that nice distorted reverb. I feel like it's a nice texture in here because we have already, a bunch of smooth sounds. So like if I turn off that overdrive, it doesn't really stand out. There's no reason to really have it in the mix. But yeah, so that is it for the second drone. The last sound that we have here is this lead, which sounds like this. So this, I was really trying to get that like Aphex Twin number 3 type vibe. Basically what's happening here is it's actually just kind of playing around the root chord. We have like the C, and then we're in G sharp. Yeah, we're in G sharp major, and then basically I just have the root note down one semitone for that one. So you can hear it's kind of, it's kind of got this like melancholic feel that you get with these sort of shapes. Now over here, I just have actually the same melody. I just moved the C down to D sharp or down to A sharp. So pretty simple stuff there. For the sound on this one, I made this one using operator. You can see we just have two sine waves here, or a sine wave and a triangle wave, excuse me. I've got the second one down an octave. And you can also probably hear that I had the fine tune up a little bit. So again, just detuning it a little bit, giving it some motion. And that is it for inside of the synth. After that, I have a bit of chorus. Here is without that. And then with it. So you can hear, like I said with that other drone, the chorus really helps to add some dimension to your sounds and bring them to life in the stereo field. After that, I have this echo and this reverb. These are kind of working together, they're just doing the echo and the reverb together. This is very similar to what I was saying with the chorus. Because this sound just plays two notes and rings out, we want to get as much ringing out as possible. So the really slow echo doing quarter notes going into the reverb, again, we get those repeats. So we're getting the repeats or the reverb from the notes as well as the reverb from the repeats. And yeah, so that's me for this one, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Once again, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that kind of stuff from this video for free in the description. So make sure to check for that. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'll see you tomorrow with another video.